Hi, my name is Alana Grelyak, and today we're going to talk about beginning piano methods online. There are a lot of pretty great resources on the internet that you can look through that are going to help you get started playing the piano. You don't need to find a teacher right away if you don't want to, or have any specific method book. You can start learning, for your first week or two or even 3 if you want, just by learning how the piano works, how the keyboard works, and then you can choose where to go from there after you've kind of discovered a little bit more about the instrument. So what we're going to talk about is how the piano kind of works and directions that we look at, how the hands work, things that we would need to practice if we were just very basic beginners at the piano. So the piano itself has 88 keys. It has 2 different kinds of keys, black keys and white keys, and they are arranged into groups. The way that you can tell your way around the piano is by looking at the black key groups. So for instance, you have a group of 2 black keys, and you have a group of 3 black keys. And that goes on in a pattern all the way across the keyboard. 2, 3, 2, 3. And then when you go down, you have 3, 2, 3, 2, all the way until you have 1. And that last one is actually part of the group of 3. It's the top note of the group of 3. When you're looking at the piano, you're going to be sitting directly in the center of it like this, so that if you see the name of the piano, you want that to be just about in the center of your chest. And then you're going to look for middle C, and we'll talk about how to find middle C in a second. The directions for the piano, up is always to the right, down is always to the left, and when we're talking about going up, we're talking about going higher. You can see how the sound goes higher, and then when we're talking about going down, we're talking about going lower. And that is how the piano goes lower. So up, down, higher, lower. When we play the piano, we use both of our hands, and obviously we have 5 fingers, hopefully, on each hand, and they're going to be numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the hands are mirror images of each other, and they go outward. Thumbs are always 1, pinkies are always 5. When you sit at the piano, you want to have really good posture, because you want everything to be in a neutral position. You do not want to be slouching over. You don't want a rounded back. You want to have a bench that's at the proper height for the piano. When you play the piano, you want to hold your hand in a certain way. So when you play, you're going to want to have, it's going to be pretending like you have a bubble or a ball in your hand. So hold it like that, flip it over, and you can see that I have a nice rounded hand position. And my wrist is neutral. It's very straight. I'm not going to be playing like this. I'm not going to be playing like that. Either one of those can lead to eventual wrist pain or carpal tunnel if you keep that up for a very long time. So keep a neutral wrist, bubble in hand, and hand goes down on the piano so that it looks like this. Now, we're going to take the 2 and 3, fingers 2 and 3, and we're just going to play going up on the piano on the groups of 2 black keys. And then we're going to do the same thing with the left hand going down. Always trying to keep that bubble hand position. Never pop your bubble. Then we're going to do the same thing with the groups of 3 black keys. This is just to familiarize ourselves with how the piano feels. One of the things about a piano is that by its name is actually the piano forte, meaning meaning soft, loud. So that means that the piano can be loud and soft. So while you're doing this, you can also experiment with, if you press softer, it's going to be soft. If you play louder, it's going to play louder. It's very touch responsive. So we're going to do the same thing using 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to play going up, and we're going to play the same thing going down. And then you have that one extra guy with no buddies down there at the bottom, and we're just going to play him with the 2nd finger. So that is going to get you accustomed to the way the piano is divided into groups and how it's organized. The next thing you're going to want to learn is the names of the white keys. The white keys are the only ones that have specific names. The black keys can have 2 names, and we can talk about that in a second. But the white keys you really want to know exactly where they are and what their names are. When we do the musical alphabet, we use the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and those are the only ones we use. So you're going to want to start with C. In the group of 2 black keys, you find your group of 2 that we found. We're going to look for the one under the name of the piano, group of 2 black keys, and then directly to the left, the first white key next to the group of 2 is going to be C. When you're on the one that's under the middle of the piano, under the name that's in the center of your chest, that's middle C, and that's going to be our center. That's going to be the most important key that we learn, because that's always going to tell us where we are geographically on the piano. So you have your C, and then the other ones that live in the group of 2 are D and E. So you have C, D, and E. You're going to want to know exactly where those are. So you can take some time and think, I'm going to find all of the C's as fast as I possibly can. And you're going to want to go to them as quickly as you possibly can, because I like to think of the white keys as our friends. We're learning the names of our friends. You know, if you were talking to one of your friends and you forgot what their name was, they probably wouldn't be too happy about it. So you want to do the same thing with the names of the letters of the white keys. The next thing we're going to do is look at our friends that live in the group of 3 black keys. So you find your group of 3. The one directly on the left is F, and then we have G, A, and B. So you want to be able to learn those. So again, you're going to be able to find it. Have a friend maybe say, find me all the B's, and as quickly as you can, go through and find all the B's, so that eventually you know all the letters of the white keys without really having to think about it. When I talked about the black keys, those can have different letter names. If we're on an E, for instance, and we go down, we're going to, excuse me, we're going to go to a flat, you're going to hear E flat. That's going to be this key here. However, if you're on a D and you do D sharp, that's going to go up a half step, and enharmonically is going to be the same as E flat. So D sharp and E flat are going to sound the same on the piano, but they're going to look different if you're reading sheet music. So these are a lot of the things that you can do to learn how to play the piano even before you've learned how to read music. It's a great way to get yourself accustomed to the instrument. Some of the things you may want to think about if you're going to further your career with the piano is what kind of music you want to learn. Are you an adult student, or are you looking for a method for a child? And how young is the child? What age group are you looking at? If you're an adult, what do you want to play? Do you want to play pop music? Do you want to learn how to play chords so that you can maybe harmonize simple songs? That kind of thing. Or do you want to learn jazz, which is totally different than, say, learning classical music? Classical music requires you to be very detailed about your note reading. Jazz music usually requires competency in learning how to improvise and being very comfortable with making things up and learning a lot of different kinds of chord patterns, different scales, things like that. So think about where you want to go with the piano, what you want to do with it in the long run, and after you've gotten yourself familiar with how the piano works, how to sit, where things are, you can use the internet to further your research and then come up with either some books that you can learn with yourself at home, or you can find a teacher in your area that's going to help you learn the things that you want to learn out of the piano so you get the most out of your musical experience.